The desert was silent. Only the wind moved, dragging sharp grains of sand across the open ground. The sun was a white ball in the sky, so bright it made even shadows feel hot. Corin squinted and raised one arm to shield his eyes. His lips were cracked. His water was gone. His boots were nearly melting on the scorched earth. But none of that mattered right now, because 10 meters in front of him, an alien woman sat on the back of a huge beast twice the size of an elephant, with armor-like skin and a mouth full of jagged tusks. She wasn't smiling, and she wasn't going to let him leave. "You're not going anywhere, human," she said. Her voice was low, deep, calm, like she'd already won. Her alien accent twisted the words, but he understood them just fine. The beast under her snorted, steam blowing from its nostrils. Its claws dug into the sand. Muscles rippled beneath thick, scaly flesh. It was ready to charge. Corin raised both hands slowly. He didn't want to fight. Not because he was afraid, but because he was exhausted and fighting a woman riding a murder lizard. In the middle of a desert wasn't exactly on his to-do list today. "I don't want trouble," Corin said. "I didn't know this was a restricted zone." Her bright silver eyes narrowed. "No one crosses this land by accident. Only thieves and liars enter sacred grounds." Corin's lips twitched. "I'm a pilot. My ship crashed 6 clicks west. I'm just trying to survive." "You stepped into the Death Hollow," she said coldly. "No one is allowed here. Not even my people. This land belongs to the ancestors and their guardians." Corin glanced at the beast. "The guardian? Apparently. Great. I didn't come here on purpose," he said. "I lost my map system and most of my supplies. Honestly, I was just looking for shade." She didn't blink. She didn't move. She sat still like a statue on top of that monster. Her armor was a mix of leather and bone. Tribal tattoos ran down her left arm. Her skin was light purple, and there was a long scar over her cheekbone. This was no ordinary alien. "Your kind always says the same," she said. "First, you say sorry. Then you bring war." Corin sighed. "Do I look like a soldier?" "No," she said. "But looks lie. You walk like someone who has seen blood. You watch every movement I make, and you're not afraid of the beast." That caught him off guard. He was afraid. But she was right, he hadn't. Shown it, maybe he was too tired, maybe too numb, or maybe he just didn't have anything left to lose. "Who are you?" he asked. "I am Zarin, daughter of the Warden Flame, Beastwalker of the Kernok tribe, protector of the Hollow." "Nice to meet you, Zarin," he said dryly. "I'm Corin, just a lost human." She studied him, then leaned forward on her beast. Her fingers brushed along its thick neck. The creature made a low, rumbling growl. "Give me one reason not to let my beast tear you apart." Corin didn't flinch. "Because if you do, you'll never know why I was really here." That made her pause. She tilted her head. "A trick? No, a mystery," he said. "I found something in the sand, buried deep. It looked old. Not alien, not yours. Human-made, maybe ancient." He was bluffing. Kind of. He had seen something half-buried metal, blinking faintly before the storm. But it was likely junk. Still, it was a good gamble. Zedren's eyes changed. Suspicion, curiosity, a flicker of something deeper. "Show me," she ordered. "I dropped a signal tag on it," Corin said, "before the storm hit. If you're lying, you'll feed me to the lizard," he finished. "Got it?" There was a long silence. Then, with a click of her tongue, she turned the beast to the side. It grunted and lowered its head slightly. "Get on," she said. Corin hesitated. "I won't ride that thing." "Then walk," she said. "But if you fall behind, the sands will eat you alive." Corin sighed and climbed up behind her. The beast shifted its weight and took off fast and smooth, like a moving hill of muscle. Sand sprayed behind them. Corin grabbed a leather strap and held tight. As they rode, he whispered, "What exactly is the beast called?" Zarin answered without turning. "Its name is Mournfang. It only eats things that run." Corin laughed once dry and tired. "Guess I better not run then." She didn't reply. But for a moment, just a moment, she almost smiled. Asterisk the beast. Mournfang moved like a tank through the sand. Each step left a deep hole behind. The sun was dropping now, turning the sky orange and red. Heat still rose from the ground like smoke. Corin clung to the leather strap, riding behind Zarin in silence. She hadn't spoken since they left. He wanted to ask questions about the metal he claimed to find, about the sacred land, about what the hell she even wanted from him, but something in her posture warned him to wait. Her body was tense. Her eyes kept scanning the dunes. She was listening for something. They crested a dune, and suddenly Zarin yanked the beast to a halt. "Off. Now?" "What?" Corin blinked. "We're here already." "No." Her voice was sharp. "We're not alone." He slid off the beast's back. Sand filled his boots instantly. The air was strangely still. No wind. No sound. Zarin slipped off too, and drew her blade, a long, curved weapon with glowing red lines down its edge. Corin narrowed his eyes. He couldn't see anything. Then he felt it. The ground trembled. Not a lot, just a small shake under his feet. But it was enough to make his spine go cold. "What is it?" he asked. Zarin didn't look at him. She kept staring ahead. "It's not my beast." Then the sand behind them exploded. A second creature burst from beneath the Duna massif. Scaled monster, even bigger than Mournfang. It had no rider. Just jaws the size of a hovercraft and eyes like boiling mud. Corin dove to the side. Zarin shouted a command, and Mournfang roared, stepping in front of them. The two beasts faced each other. The wild one let out a roar that shook the air. Zarin gritted her teeth. "This one doesn't obey. It's from the deep pits." "How do we stop it?" Corin shouted. "You don't." She yelled back. "You run." But Corin didn't run. He reached into his belt pouch, pulled out a small silver tube, twisted the capand through it. A bright flare shot up, screaming through the sky. Light exploded above them, red and white, blinding. The wild beast screeched in pain and twisted away from the light. Zarin used the moment to strike her beast, leaped and tackled the creature in the sand. Claws raking, jaws snapping, dust filled the air. Corin couldn't see anything. He coughed, covering his face. Stumbling backward, then it was quiet. Too quiet. The dust settled slowly. Zarin stood over the fallen wild beast. Our blade was dripping. Mournfang breathed heavily beside her. Injured but alive. Corin stepped forward. "You okay?" She turned to him, eyes wide. That flare. It blinded it. He nodded. "Standard human tech. I carry one for emergencies." She looked at him in a new way. Not with hate. Not even with suspicion. With interest. Strange. She muttered, "You act like a warrior, but you fight with light." He shrugged. "Light's cleaner than blood." She walked toward him. "You saved my beast." "Well, he saved me first." She stopped close to him, closer than before. Her silver eyes locked with his. "I still don't trust you. Fair. I need to test you." Corin frowned. "Test me. Fight me." He blinked. "What?" She stepped back and threw something at him. He caught it, a short training staff, dull and blunt. "No blades," she said. "Not to the death. A test. Skill, spirit, honor." Corin stared at the weapon. Is this normal for your people? No, she said, smiling slightly. But nothing about this is normal. He sighed. Fine, but don't cry when I win. Zarin. Lunged, she was fast. Corin blocked just in time, barely keeping up. She spun, sweeping his legs, but he jumped. He struck back, quick and low. She deflected with ease. They moved in a circle, kicks and hits. Sand flying around them. She was stronger. He was faster. It wasn't easy. After 5 long minutes, Corin's legs shook. His shirt was soaked with sweat. Zarin was breathing heavy, too, but her eyes were burning with energy. They clashed against staffs locking midair. He leaned in. Still think I'm weak? She grinned. No, but I'm not done yet. Then her foot came up, fast. She kicked his stomach, and he went flying back, landing hard in the sand. He groaned. Zarin walked over and pointed her staff at his chest. Yield. He chuckled. Never. She lowered the weapon and offered a hand. He took it. As she pulled him up, she said, You fight well, human. You don't run, you don't lie. Maybe you're not like the others. I'm not. She looked up at the stars now beginning to appear in the sky. We make camp here, she said. Then tomorrow, we find your mystery in the sand. Corin nodded, but as he lay by the fire later, his body aching, he had one thought. She could have killed me. But she didn't. Why? Corin woke to soft growling. Not loud, just deep, low, close. He sat up fast, hand on his utility knife, eyes scanning the camp. But it wasn't danger, it was Mournfang. Zarin's beast, snoring quietly beside the small fire. Its breath made the embers dance. Corin sighed, rubbed the back of his neck. His whole body hurt from the sparring match. His ribs still throbbed where she had kicked him. He glanced around. See, a wren was gone. The sky was still dark, stars overhead. Cold air crept into his bones. He stood slowly, watching his step, and followed her faint tracks leading away from the camp. They led up a small dune and stopped at the edge of a rocky cliff. There she sat there, alone, looking out over the empty desert. Her knees were drawn up, her armor laid beside her, and her long purple hair moved gently with the wind. She didn't turn as he approached. I thought you'd be asleep, she said quietly. I was. Then I realized someone might be out here planning to feed me to a beast. She chuckled, but it didn't sound happy. You're safe. For now, Corin sat beside her, leaving space. Couldn't sleep, she shook her head. I dreamed of fire, of running, of screams. There was silence. He didn't ask, she spoke anyway. When I was young, human ship came. Big, silver. It landed near the old water caves where our tribe lived. We thought it was a god's machine. We offered gifts. Corin frowned, and the humans, they smiled. They gave candy to the children, sweet things we'd never tasted before. She paused, and they gave my father a small gun. A gift, they said. For friendship, Corin said nothing. They stayed 3 days. She went on, voice hollow. On the 4th, they were gone. So were 5 of our people. Gone with the ship, my sister, my uncle, 3 children. No trace. Corin stared at the sand. Zaren's voice grew harder. We learned later they took them to another world, experimented on them. My sister died on the table. He closed his eyes. I'm sorry. She turned to him slowly. Her silver eyes glowed under the stars. Sorry doesn't bring them back. Sorry doesn't clean the blood. Corin met her gaze. No, it doesn't. But not every human is like them. Her jaw clenched. I know, but pain teaches fear. And fear teaches hate. He nodded. And hate teaches walls. They sat in silence again. Then she whispered, "You didn't run. Even when you could have. I don't like running. You tried to save my beast. I like animals better than most people." Ha! She smiled again, tired, small. "You're strange." "Yeah," Corin muttered. "That's what they used to tell me back home." She turned back to the stars. "My people think strength means killing. That mercy is weakness." "I don't believe that. But they don't listen to me." Corin looked at her. "Then why do you stay?" Zerona's voice dropped to almost a whisper. "Because someone has to stay, or nothing ever changes." The fire crackled in the distance. Corin Fang snorted in his sleep. Corin pulled a small black object from his pouch. He held it out. A memory. "Tag," he said. "It records short messages." "Here." He pressed the button. The tag lit up faint green. Corin spoke into it. "Zarin, daughter of the Warden Flame, saved my life. I owe her one." Then he handed it to her. Zaya Ren stared at it, like it might bite her. "Why, so I don't forget," he said. "So someone remembers. The real you." She said nothing. But she took it, held it gently, like it was fragile. Far below the ridge, a gust of wind lifted sand into the air. Far off in the desert, something howled deep and long and lonely. "Time to move," Zarin said. "We're close." "To what?" She pointed to a far hill, barely visible in the moonlight. "The place where your ancient object is buried." Corin raised an eyebrow. "You mean the thing I might have made up?" She smirked. "Yes, but now I'm curious." They returned to camp, packed supplies, and mounted Mournfang. The beast moved slower now, limping from yesterday's fight. Zaran rubbed its side softly. Corin watched. "You really care about it?" She nodded. "It was my bond beast. I raised him from a cub. We were both abandoned." He frowned. "By who?" But she didn't answer, as they rode toward the far hill. Corin felt something shift between them. Not trust, not yet, but the first stone in a bridge, one that might lead across years of hatred and pain. But far beneath the sand ahead, something old was waiting, and it was not asleep. Asterisk. The sun barely reached over the jagged rocks when they arrived at the canyon. It was wide, deep, silent. The cliffs looked like giant broken teeth rising from the earth. Sharp, angry. The wind didn't blow here. Not even a whisper. Just still air, heavy like a held breath. Zia Ren pulled Mournfang to a stop at the edge. "This is it," she said quietly. Corin climbed down from the beast and stared into the canyon. He could barely see the bottom, just shadows and cracks. And something else. Movement. It was too far to see clearly, but something below was alive. Corin didn't like that. "What lives down there?" he asked. Dodd said. Ren didn't answer for a moment. Then she said, "The dead." He gave her a sideways look. She sighed. "My people call it the Canyon of No Return. We leave it alone. It's where broken things fall. Things we don't speak of. And that's where my signal is," Corin asked. She nodded. "Just on the other side. But this is the fastest way through, and the most dangerous." "Yes." Corin adjusted his pack straps. "Well, I've never been a fan of slow." Zarin stared at him. "You're serious?" He nodded once. She studied him again, then said, "Follow me, stay close. If I say run, run." Corin smirked. "So don't stop and take pictures." Zaran didn't laugh. They entered the canyon on foot. Mournfang refused to go in. It paced nervously at the entrance, growling low. Zarin whispered to it, petting its snout, then left it behind. The walls closed around them quickly. The light dimmed. Everything turned cold. Corin could see scratch marks on the walls. Deep ones, like claws, had tried to climb out. The rocks were blackened, in places burned. What happened here? He asked. Zeren kept walking. Old wars, before your kind even knew we existed. Corin ran a hand along one of the rock faces. This place feels wrong. Zeren glanced back. It is. Spirits scream here, but not with sound. You'll feel it soon. He did. After 20 more steps, a pressure built behind his ears. Not painful, but heavy, like he'd just gone deep underwater. And the air tasted bitter. Then he heard something. Not a voice, not a word, but a whisper. Faint, like wind slipping through cracks. He froze. Zeren looked back. You heard it. He nodded slowly. That means it sees you. What does? But she turned away. They came to a wide opening deeper in the canyon. It was filled with broken metal shards of old ships, rusted armor, bits of bone. Some of the pieces had human writing on them. Others were in languages Corin couldn't read. What is all this? He breathed. Za. Ren knelt beside a broken panel. She rubbed off some dust. You weren't the first human to come here? Corin felt a chill. He stepped forward and saw it. A cracked helmet, still glowing faintly, and beside it, a half-buried box. He knelt, brushing away sand. It was a black metal case. Old human-made. It had a fingerprint lock. Corin pressed his thumb. It clicked open. Inside was a small, worn journal. Paper, not digital. He opened the first page. The writing was smudged, but readable. Day 43. Still no contact from base. Food low. The alien girl won't speak. She just watches me, I think. She's afraid of what I'll become. Corin turned the page. Zeren leaned over his shoulder, reading. Day 50. I had to kill to survive. I didn't want to, but the others attacked. The girl cried. I think she's starting to understand that. I'm not like them. Zeren frowned. Day 62. She gave me a gift. A name in her language. It means wandering flame. I think she's starting to trust me. I don't deserve it. But I'll protect her. Corin flipped to the last page. Day 72. They came for us. Her own people. They took her. Beat me. Left me for dead. I don't know if she's alive, but if someone finds this, tell her I didn't stop caring. Tell her I tried. Zeren stepped back slowly, her eyes wide. She whispered, wandering flame. Corin looked up. What? She turned away, silent. Zeren. She didn't move. Corin stood, walked to her. Then she said, that was my sister's name. She called someone that. A human she once met. Long ago, I thought she lied. I thought she made him up. Corin's heart sank. This might be his journal. Zeren nodded slowly. Her voice cracked. He was real. They stood there, silent, surrounded by death and dust. Then something growled. Not Mornfang. Something deeper in the canyon. Zeren's hand shot to her blade. We need to go, she said. Corin stuffed the journal into his jacket. Which way? She pointed there, up the ledge, fast. As they ran, Corin glanced back. A shadow moved through the wreckage. Tall dot, crawling, watching. Something old had seen them. And it wasn't done. The wind howled over the cliffs. Cold now, not like before. It didn't just carry sand, it carried voices, whispers, echoes. Regret. Corin was pale, breathing hard, his legs covered in cuts from the rocks. He had barely escaped the canyon alive. The shadow that followed them had never fully revealed itself, but it had watched, stalked, and now it haunted him. Zeren stood at the edge of the high ridge, her hair blowing wildly, her blade in hand. Across from her, stood 6 warriors. Her tribe. They had arrived fast, riding sleek beasts with metal masks, eyes hidden behind bone helmets, spears, crossbows, energy nets, all aimed at her and him. Their leader, a tall alien with golden skin and 4 silver rings on his arms, stepped forward. "Zeron," he said with disgust, "you brought the outsider here. To this land." "I had no choice," she replied. "You had every choice. You chose him. I chose truth." He spat in the sand. "Truth, you let him near the hollow. You defiled the bones of the old ones. You dare speak of truth." Corin stood beside her, quiet, watching. Zaren didn't back down. "This human carries knowledge, evidence, a journal from the time of the firepiece, a human loved one of our own. My sister." The warriors behind the leader stirred, murmuring, but the leader roared, "Lies, human lies. You believe his tongue so easily." Corin stepped forward now, slow, careful. "I don't want your war," he said. "I just want to survive. But your people left that Manzer and his sister's friend to die in that canyon. I saw what he wrote. He loved her. He was loyal." The leader growled, "Your kind is never loyal." "Maybe not," Corin said. "But maybe you're wrong about all of us." Zaren spoke again. Her voice shook, but her stance didn't. "You say I broke our laws. Maybe I did, but ask yourselves, why did we hide this part of history? Why did no one speak of the human who tried to bring peace?" Silence. Then the leader raised his hand. "Enough. You and the human will be judged by the trial of flame." Zaren flinched. "That's exile." "Or death," he agreed. He pointed to a narrow circle of stones near the camp. In the center, a tall totem stood blackened by fire. Old and cracked. Zaren turned to Corin. "You don't have to do this." Corin shrugged. "If I leave now, they'll hunt me. I stay. I might change something." She blinked. "Why risk your life for my people? Because I saw that journal. And if someone tried before and failed, maybe someone else has too. Try again." She stared at him for a long time, then nodded. They stepped into the circle together. The tribe gathered fast. The trial of flame was ancient. 1 circle, 2 opponents, no weapons, just fire at the edge. A test of heart, not just strength. Corin and Zaren stood in the center. Together, not as enemies, but side by side. The tribe leader stepped forward with a torch. "If you pass," he said, "you leave this place and never return. But if you fail your bones, stay here." Zaren locked eyes with Corin. "You ready?" "No." She smiled. "Good. That means you won't do anything stupid." Then the flames rose, circling them, hot, loud. The trial had begun. Corin couldn't breathe. Well, the heat pressed in. Sweat stung his eyes. The fire wasn't just a threat, was alive, dancing around them, testing them. Waiting for fear, a voice boomed over the fire. "Speak truth. Face each other, or the flames will judge." Zaren turned to him. "Say it," she said. "Say what?" "Your truth." Corin looked into her eyes. "I'm afraid," he said. "Not of dying, but of dying for nothing." She nodded. "Good. Real fear. Now ask me, what's your truth?" Zaren's voice cracked. "I never hated humans," she said. "Only the silence. The way no one listened. The way everyone said my sister's love was shame. The flames." Jumped. The ring shrank tighter. A deep hum filled the air, something ancient. Judging then, Corin stepped forward. He reached out. Zaren froze, but he didn't grab her. He just held his hand there, open a choice. She looked at it, then slowly placed her hand in his. The fire flared, screamed, and died. Silence fell. Smoke rose into the dark sky. The ring of fire vanished. The tribe stared. The leader looked, stunned. Ren and Corin still stood. Hand in hand, alive together, the trial had chosen. And it had not chosen death. Later, by the dim campfire, as the tribe argued and murmured far away, Zarin leaned close to him. "You should have run," she whispered. "I told you," Corin said. Softly, "I don't run." Zarin looked at him for a long moment, then reached into her cloak and pulled out the memory tag. He had given her before. She pressed the button. The recording played again. Zarin, daughter of the Warden Flame, saved my life. I owe her one. She said nothing. But this time, she didn't give it back. The fire crackled low. Corin sat near the edge of the tribe's camp. Sipping water slowly, his muscles aching. He could still feel the heat of the trial on his skin. Every breath reminded him he was alive but barely. Ren stood beside him, arms crossed, watching the tribe talk among themselves. They weren't shouting. They were whispering now. Something had changed. The trial of flame was sacred, and it had chosen not to burn them. Too many, that was a message from the ancestors. But others were not so convinced. The tribal leader, still angry, approached them. His voice was firm. "Come with me, both of you." Zarin stepped forward. "Where?" He didn't answer. He just turned and walked into the darkness beyond the firelight. Corin followed without a word. They passed quiet, tense and sleeping beasts. Then they entered a hidden stone path behind the ridge. The ground here was older, harder, as if untouched by time. The leader stopped at a sealed doorway carved into the mountain wall. 2 guards stood nearby, holding torches. The leader touched the rock. A panel clicked open. The door slid back with a deep, grinding sound. Inside was a cold room filled with dim blue lights, and walls covered in symbols both alien and human. Corin's heart skipped. "What is this place?" he asked. The leader didn't look at him. He simply said, "History." They stepped inside. In the center of the room was a tall glass container, old, cracked. Inside, it floated something frozen in time. A man, human eyes closed, suit torn, ice bruised, but preserved perfectly in stasis Ellie's. Ren's voice broke the silence. "Is that?" The leader nodded. "The first human who came here and lived among us. The one your sister loved. We captured him, not out of hate, but fear." Corin stepped closer to the glass. The man looked peaceful, like he was still dreaming. "Why did you keep him like this?" The leader's voice was low. "He asked for it, before he died. He knew his body was failing. He begged us to preserve him, in case another human came. One who might listen." Zarin clenched her fists. "You told us he died in battle." "He did," the leader said. "A different kind of battle. One of lies and silence." Corin turned to face him. "So you've always known humans could be peaceful, and you chose to erase it?" The leader's jaw tightened. "We chose survival. After your kind left, other humans came. Soldiers, raiders. They burned our gardens, took our metals, killed our animals. They didn't care who we were. So we buried the past." Zarin stepped forward. "You buried truth. Would truth have stopped their bullets?" The leader asked. "Would it have saved our children?" Corin looked again at the frozen man in the glass. He felt rage rise, but not the kind that made him want to fight, the kind that made him want to fix something broken. "I need to know everything," he said. "I want to see the records, read his journals, all of it." The leader studied him for a long time, then nodded. "You'll have one night." They gave him a small stone tablet, old but still working. Corin sat alone in the back of the mountain chamber. Reading the frozen man's notes, he learned the man's name was Lieutenant Darren Holt. He was part of a failed peace mission. He had come alone at first to learn, to listen, to understand. And he had fallen in love with a young alien girl, Z. Eren's sister. He wrote about how they planted trees together, shared languages, laughed. He wrote about the day she gave him a new name-wandering flame, and he wrote about the day he was captured by the same tribe he'd tried to help. They say I'm dangerous. Maybe I am, but not to her. Never to her. If anyone finds this, tell Zeren, your sister was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I hope she smiles again someday. Corin closed the tablet. Zeren sat beside him now, watching. That smile, she said, her voice soft, was gone for years. Corin looked at her. It's not gone now. She didn't reply, but she didn't look away either. Then, a rumble shook the ground. Both of them stood fast. Dust fell from the ceiling. A deep growl echoed through the chamber. Zhao Ren's eyes widened. No. Corin looked at her. What is it? The Guardian, she whispered. The real one. The one from the oldest stories. The one who watched the hollow before even my people did. More shaking, louder outside. Torches flickered. Screams followed. Corin ran to the doorway and froze. From the canyon's direction, something huge was rising from the sands. A creature of stone and bone. Glowing veins. 6 eyes. And its roar split the air like thunder. Eren's voice came from behind. It woke up. Corin turned, heart racing. Then let's put it back to sleep. The sky turned red, not sunset red. Blood red. Clouds swirled above the canyon like smoke from a dying fire. Lightning cracked across the sky, but there was no thunder, just silence. Then, the roar came again. It rolled across the land like a mountain. Falling, Corin stood at the edge of the tribe's ridge, heart pounding below. The beast god rose from the hollow. Its body was made of dark rock, twisted roots, and bone. Fire flowed through glowing lines on its back. Its 6 eyes blinked one by one, glowing yellow like suns. Its massive arms dragged across the ground, tearing up ancient stone-like paper. Eren stood beside him, her blade drawn. Breathing fast. Nothing's ever gotten that close to the tribe before, she said. It's awake, and it's angry. Corin didn't take his eyes off it. Why now? She shook her head. The trial, the truth, the journal. Something shifted. The hollow remembers. The tribal leader ran up, face pale. It's coming for the flame totem. That was its warning. Stone. You lit it. You broke the silence. Corin stared down. Then I'll fix it. He started forward. Zhao Ren grabbed his arm. What are you doing? That's not something you can talk to. That's death. Corin turned to her. No, that's a memory, a guardian, and I have something it remembers. He pulled the small memory tag from his jacket, the one he recorded days ago. He held it tight. Eren looked at it, then at him. She wanted to say, don't go. But she didn't, because she knew he had to. Corin walked down the broken slope, alone. The closer he got, the louder the beast god's breathing became deep, like old stone grinding against itself. Each step made the ground shake. Its head turned toward him slowly, as if it didn't care about his size, only his presence. When Corin reached the canyon floor, the wind vanished. Time itself seemed to stop. He took a breath and pressed the tag's button. His voice echoed from the tiny device. Zeren, daughter of the Warden Flame, saved my life. I owe her one. He threw it on the ground in front of the beast and raised his hands. I'm not here to fight you, he said. I'm not here to take anything, I'm not the humans who hurt you. I'm something new. Something you're supposed to protect." The beast god roared. Corin didn't move. Instead, he pulled out Darren Holt's journal. "This is from the last human you trusted, the one you didn't kill." He wrote about peace, about love, about hope. He opened it, flipping to the last page. "Tell her I didn't stop caring. Tell her I tried." The beast's 6 eyes glowed brighter. Its huge hand lifted, shadow falling over Corin like a mountain. Wind rushed, dust flew, but Corin stood still. "No more lies," he said. "Just truth." The hand stopped, and slowly lowered. The beast's body rumbled. Its glow faded slightly. Its rocky shoulders slumped. Corin felt it, not victory, understanding. Then the beast turned. Step by slow step, it walked away from the ridge, back into the canyon it had guarded for centuries. With every step, its fire dimmed, until it disappeared into the hollow, once more gone. For now, back at the ridge, Zarin stared down in silence. The whole tribe did. The leader slowly stepped forward, his voice low. "No one has ever faced the Guardian and returned." Zarin looked at him. He didn't fight it. He reminded it who we were. Corin climbed back up, exhausted. Dirt and ash covered his clothes. Ziaren met him halfway. She said nothing, just looked at him like she'd never seen him before. "Why?" she asked. "You could have died." Corin shrugged. "So, could your sister's human?" "But he tried, I guess. I just didn't want her to be the only one." Zarin touched the memory tag he had dropped earlier. She picked it up and held it out to him. He shook his head. "Keep it." She nodded and slipped it into the pouch over her heart. Later that night, the tribe held a small fire. Not a celebration, something quieter, a new flame. Lit beside the totem, but not as a warning. This one was for remembering. Corin sat beside Zarin as the tribe slowly came to sit around them, not in fear, but in respect. The tribal leader stood and raised his hand. "This human came here a stranger. We treated him like an enemy. But he gave us something we had lost, a reason to believe again." He turned to Zarin. "And you, daughter of flame, proved strength is not just fire, but forgiveness." The leader bowed, then the rest of the tribe followed. Ren leaned over and whispered to Corin, "You're not going anywhere now." Corin smiled, wasn't planning to. She looked at him sideways. "You know, my people have a saying. When the Guardian spares you, it means you belong to the land." He raised an eyebrow. "So I'm one of you now." Zarin grinned. "You always were."